Welcome back to another episode of Fully Stoked Podcast. I'm your hostess, one of them, Sarah Stokes, and as always, I am a senior loan advisor, mortgage loan advisor with Coast to Coast Mortgage. That's what I do by day, so I'm your go-to girl for all your financing needs, but what I really love doing is connecting people, and that's what we're going to do here today. I have my friend Tina Wolfe here. Welcome, Tina. It's so nice to have you on the show. I appreciate you making time for us today.
Absolutely.
Thanksgiving. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
We did small. My daughter came down from college and we
Good.
were in the kitchen and she was like, she's been learning how to cook everything. So she knows how to cook the whole dinner. She did a fabulous job. Yeah.
You're teaching
So
her well. That's great.
absolutely.
So I'm excited to welcome Tina Wolfe. She's the powerhouse behind Creative Business Solutions. Tina's a small business coach, editor, clarity strategist. Ooh, I can't wait to hear more about that. Based in the beautiful mountains of Western North Carolina. And I actually met Tina at a Thrive WNC Women's Entrepreneur Network event. It was Baby's Night Out in Lake Lure. And it was, we were there to kind of serve the community there and get some money rolling through that area. It's still beautiful. Everybody go out and see Lake Lure. It's absolutely stunning area. It is coming back as well. A lot of the shops and restaurants are open. Pretty much, I think most things are, right? It's just beautiful there.
Yeah,
So
most things are open. They've been doing a lot of focus has been on rebuilding and the community is amazing. I worked there for their chamber for several years and just fabulous people with a heart for community. So definitely support Lake Lure if you can. Yeah.
absolutely. So you have a background in journalism, corporate communications, and nearly 30 years of entrepreneurship. You help business owners realign their work with their God-given purpose. And you build systems that truly support the life that they're called to. I can't wait to dig in because I need all of that. I am so
We all
excited.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. So get ready, everybody, because we're diving into purpose, clarity, leadership, calling, and how to fall in love with your work again. I was talking with Tina before we started recording, and she told me something really beautiful. I was like, can you just say that exact same thing? That was so good. So you gave me a little bit of background. If you don't mind kind of giving me that background again, I think a lot of people, it will resonate with a lot of people, including me.
Absolutely. I've always been a hard worker. My mother taught me work ethic, and that was always so I operated on the presence of on the idea that you have to work hard and do, and that's what the world teaches us. And you get to a point where a lot of times, especially in a corporate career, I had a very vibrant and joyful church family life and home life, but there was a disconnect, an incongruency, if I can use that word, in my work life. It was a programmed, kind of a rote thing. You go in, you do the thing. There was that joy was missing. And I began to ask God, it's like, what's going on here? There's a disconnect here between this vibrant, joy-filled life that I have at home and church. It needs to be, why can't I have that at work too? Why can't I love my work? Because I love what I do, right? I love the creativeness of it. I love the coaching. I love the relationship part of it, but there was just that missing. And we basically went, I call it a wild ride with God. He just began to show me on this path what it looked like to work with purpose, with my God-given purpose. I believe everyone has and is created with a unique gift that is intended to contribute to the beauty of not only the world and the people around them, but commerce. People don't think of commerce in those terms. They think of it as very practical and money making, but commerce was meant to create community and bringing God into and working in my purpose creates greater impact and it gives me the joy of knowing I'm contributing to something greater than myself. Because in the end, we don't want to just go to work and punch a clock and go home and then be with our family and then, okay, life starts. I'm off the clock. Life starts. No, work was always intended to be part of that beautiful life. So
That's
that
awesome.
was that was my introduction of it.
So that's awesome because I think it's almost like you just said something. I had an epiphany. It's like that's me. That resonates so much with me, and I don't think I've ever put it into words like that. So you did a great job, and I think a lot of people will probably it'll resonate with a lot of people. For example, I do this. I mean, it is for work, right? It obviously helps me in my business to get out there and get my name out there. But on the other hand, I mean, you're a really cool human being, and what you have to say can really help a lot of people. And maybe not everybody, and we can talk about the things that you offer, a little bit later, and how people can get in touch with you. But maybe not everybody's ready to pay for a one-on-one session with you or coaching with you, but they can watch this and glean from this. So anyway, I think it's fantastic that you're able.
And with me, it's about, again, it's not like pushing a sale all the time, because again, I think I mentioned before the show we talked about businesses are about people. They're created by people with creative ideas, and they are created to eventually serve a need in the marketplace, right? So if you think about business as relationship building and serving your community, what do? If we move out with that intention, we create better community, we create better business, because our motivation is based on creating a better world, serving well. And if you think about how business started way back in the day, I make blankets, you have flour, and you grow corn. I need those things. So what happens? I don't have any money, right? So what I do is I create these things and I trade them with you. We establish a relationship, and then we create commerce. But if we didn't have that relationship, it's devoid of meaning. It's transactional. Business is meant to be relational. And I want to help people bring that back into their work.
Absolutely, especially in this day and age when so many things are online. I mean, I know we're online right now, but I can go a whole day without human interaction if I want to, because I can work from my computer and do everything. So it is important to create that relational value, like you said. And I think that's going to bring a lot of entrepreneurs to the front, and that's going to help them get ahead of other businesses. So that's really cool and unique. I really like this. Why do you think so many entrepreneurs feel disconnected from the reasons that they started their business? I mean, maybe some of it could be technology, but what other things?
So I remember when I was working for the Laurel of Asheville. I was community editor there, and I would interview hundreds of small business owners every single month. And I would ask them the technical questions, how big is your space? What do you offer? Blah, blah, blah. And then I got to the meat of the question. That was like the warm up. And then I got to the meat of the question of the interview. And I was like, tell me about why you started your business. Why? And all of a sudden you would see the whole demeanor of the person change. Their eyes would light up. They would become animated about their passion, about why they wanted to contribute. They had been in the corporate world for so many years, and they were tired of the rat race and this and that. They wanted something with meaning, right? So they had this gift, this talent, this skill that they wanted to put out into the world, and they wanted to give. They wanted to have meaning. And that was the core when something clicked in me, and it was like, that's what business is originally supposed to be like. That's what thriving happens based on that passion, because passion is the engine that drives the motivation for us to continue to do what we do every day and get through the day-to-day, like mundane tasks that we have to do in our business. Once I reconnected them with their passion, you could see the whole thing change.
Yeah.
They became excited about what they did. Their creativity increased. They came up with ideas. And that doesn't happen when you're stuck in the program. I go to work, I do this in the morning, I do this, I serve my customer. Okay, it's the end of the day, clock out, done. That's not a way to live. That's not the way we were meant to live.
I agree. So do you think passion and purpose really go closely hand in hand?
Absolutely. Once you find your purpose, once you connect with your purpose, it ignites the passion. Yeah. And the why is very important. That's your purpose. Why do I do what I do? What legacy do I want to leave? What impact do I want to make on the world? I don't want to just go through life and then at the end go, okay, it was a decent life. You want something to feed you. And that's what purpose does.
So, and then when you reconnect that person, that entrepreneur, with their purpose and their passion again, what usually happens in their business?
Typically, the perception of their business changes. It doesn't become a job. It becomes a mission. It becomes something that they feel called to do, and their excitement about what they're doing. Because a lot of times if you go through with your work, you can have a day and you can, at the end of the week, you can have a busy week and you did all the things that you were supposed to be, but there's nothing that really stands out that gave you fuel, that gave you, because we pour into our business. We need to pour into ourselves to make an impact,
Yeah.
to be of value and to serve well. And that's what that does.
Sorry about that. So, on that note, you can just be misaligned in your business and your path, I guess, where your trajectory is in your business. But you can also be, like you said, you pour so much into your own business, you can get burnt out. And I've done that. I mean, I do that, unfortunately, annually, probably, or maybe twice annually. But how can a person know the difference between burnout and misalignment?
It does present itself often very similar. So it is, you have to like ask the right questions. Again, asking them, why did you start your business? Are you fulfilling that? Is your path what you wanted it to be when you started? Why is it not? What is different? And a big thing about helping people connect with their purpose and their passion, it begins to, what does that look like serving the community? How is the community going to change if you live out your purpose and give your best self and operate in your best self to the community? What is that going to look like? And that creates their mission for their business. It gives them, if we don't have vision, we kind of are like a ship without a rudder.
Yeah.
We're jumping from tactic to tactic. Jump on this bandwagon, do this and you'll get sales, do this. And people get so distracted because the world is a noisy place. But
Yeah.
when you're grounded in your core values and your mission, guess what? You have a roadmap.
That's so good. So you will help people with this.
Yeah.
You'll help them get their
Yeah.
mission, or I guess their passion and their purpose, and then their mission, and then that leads you to a vision, and you'll help
Yes.
them. Well, I need to work with you, absolutely.
So I have what I call a VTO. It's a vision traction organizer, and it's based on
Okay.
EOS's system,
Question.
right?
Okay.
So what we do is once we find their purpose and that ignites their passion, they get excited about it again. And then we map out, okay, what does the mission look like? What is it? What impact? How do you want to move out into the commerce world, into the world of commerce? What is the end result that you want to have in the business world? Okay. That creates their mission. Then we do a one statement. We do a big one, and then we just whittle it down to one statement, mission statement. And then we go, okay, what are the core values, which is the how? The mission statement is the why. The core values is how we do it. How do we move out? We move out with integrity. We move out with fun. We move out with clarity. We move out with intention. We move out, choose those core values. We go through a core values exercise, and we create the core values, again, are your compass. Think of it that way. How do I relate to customers? Okay, well, let's look at my core values. Am I operating in honesty? Am I operating in fairness, or whatever your core values are, am I operating in that way? It's like the compass to help you if you say, am I off track or am I on track? Does this align with my core values or am I offline? How do I choose my vendors? How do I do my marketing? Does it align with my mission? Does what my marketing say, does it fulfill the purpose of my mission? And am I doing it in a way that aligns with my core values? Then you erase the incongruency, because incongruency in our lives creates tension internally. And then you get anxiety, and then you get fear, and then you start to jump on bandwagons. You start to sign up for every webinar and coaching program. And it's like, no, stop. It's there. You have to dig in and do the hard work.
Okay, Tina, I have had so many coaches on this show and met them and had them speak at other women's events. Nobody has laid it out like that. I mean, there's so much more. Obviously, I can't take it and just go do it on my own. I do need to set up an appointment with you, but my brain works like this. I need clear guidelines. So you're going to do A, B, and C, and then I can walk away and I can apply it to my life. That is just Thank you. That is so valuable. And I'm not
Clarity.
saying the other coaches that I've ever met or interviewed or talked with or had speak didn't have a plan like this, but I really appreciate that you just laid it out like that because it makes sense. If I can see where you start each step and where we're going to end, it's like, oh, of course I need a coach. That's brilliant. Yeah. Who doesn't need a coach, right?
And my
That's
brain works that way too. I have so many, like, there is a visionary, an integrator, and those two often, a lot of times people with entrepreneurs are very risk takers, right? Because they take the risk of opening a business. So their personality is typically they have hundreds of ideas a day, but literally probably three of them are good and
right.
actually sustainable. So it's not bad to have ideas. What we need to do is take those ideas and say, wait a minute, slow down. You're over here, rein it in. Let's have a test it against your core values and your mission. And let's walk out, let's create a strategy of what that looks like moving forward. And
Okay.
then we create a 5 year, 3 year, 1 year, quarterly plans and tasks on what it takes to get that vision to reality, and everything is guided by our core values. So
Love
it's
it.
almost like this playbook, if you will, of how to operate. And the more you do it, the more it becomes natural. And because you're operating in alignment with what you believe in your soul,
Right.
there's fruitfulness that comes from that.
Mm-hmm.
There is joy in the working. And all of a sudden, we love what we do because we see that when we operate with intentionality and integrity and just being our honest, true selves,
Yeah.
that's where connection happens. That's where the magic happens. And that's when God can come in and do amazing things in just putting people together and giving, sparking our creative ideas. God is the ultimate creator, and we have that gift in us.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of tapping into that source.
Every time I'm about to ask you a question, you answer it right before. So that literally was the answer to it. Like, how do you bring in your faith-centered servant leadership perspective when doing this, in this system? So that's exactly it. I heard you say joy. And also, like, what does servant leadership look like in modern entrepreneurship? You kind of touched
Absolutely.
on that a little bit, but how else would that look? Servant
So
leadership.
when we had our restaurants, we had Trevi Restaurant in Asheville, North Carolina. And one of our things that we decided was going to be our focus was our tagline, if you will, is exceed customer expectations. So we had to sit down and define what that meant. Because we can't just tell our employees, it's like, okay, define, exceed expectations. Well, to them, it might mean something different than it does to us. So it's very important that you clarify what those things mean. And for us, it meant who are we serving? And it aligned with our mission is like, we want them to walk away feeling so pampered and so happy and so taken care of. That was what we wanted. And in order to do that, we had to create a strategy and a plan and train our employees on what that meant for us. So they could walk it out on the floor, right? And then they could, again, your glass doesn't go below half full. That's what we mean by exceeding expectations. Your empty plate does not sit in front of you for more than a couple of seconds, right? You're watching that table. You anticipate their needs by paying attention and being intentional. You're serving well. And when you serve people well, guess what? You create loyalty. And isn't that what we want from our customers? If we move out by serving first, profits come as a result of serving well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
Cheryl
agree.
Beckleder's Servant Leadership is one of my favorite books. I'm going to give her a plug. She has a book called Dare to Serve. And this is what it looks like. Sorry, it's a little glare there. There you go. Dare to Serve. She was the CFO. She was hired as the CFO of Popeye's Chicken. And at the time that she took over, it was the worst performing QSR, quick service restaurant in the United States. She took over and she asked a question. It's like, who do we want to serve? And her franchisees were the people, not the corporate people, not the shareholders, but if her franchisees were happy and had what they needed, she understood that their customers would be happy and it would raise the floor.
Mm-hmm.
She understood that concept. If they had what they needed, they could perform well.
Mm-hmm.
So again, ask yourself, who am I serving and how do I serve them well?
Okay.
And if you do that consistently based on your mission and your core values, what happens is that you create trust, you establish loyal relationships. And business is all about trust.
Yeah.
How many times have we dealt with businesses that, they say one thing and they do another, or they don't follow through, or you talk about, and the beauty of this is it impacts your culture as well, the employees that work behind you, because when you tap into your employees' passion,
Yeah.
what happens is that they love their work. They're working for something greater. And especially the younger generation, they want to have meaning in their work. They want to make a better world. We hear this all the time in reports and news. It's talked about a lot. And when you serve well, you ask them, what is your purpose? Tie their purpose into the overall business's purpose. Connect it. Find the path to connect what they're passionate about to what your end result in the marketplace is going to be. And all of a sudden their work has more meaning.
And there's
And
more buy-in.
they see themselves as valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. More buy-in from your employees.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
it's theirs. So you said that clarity creates courage. Can you unpack that for us?
So when I first started operating my business years ago, because I've done a lot of consulting over the years, and I thought that I had to have this or I had to have that in order to be respected or this or that. I was concerned about that because that's kind of what the world tells you, right? You have to have this and that. And I took a step back, and what was happening was I was taking a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but it wasn't authentically me. So I was not able to be authentic in my presentation of some of the things, right? And it didn't fit. And then when I stopped and said, okay, I need to believe in myself. And if in order for me to do that, I have to own who I am and my purpose. So discovering my purpose was the first thing. What is my gift and how do I want it to be? And that I have a right and an obligation, a responsibility to bring those gifts and those skills and those talents to make the world a better place. That's a responsibility I have. And in doing that, that brings me courage because I'm not gauging my behavior or what my work is about based on what someone else says. It's based on who God says I am and how God intends for me to work out. Because I know if my purpose aligns with God's purpose, it's going to be good for not just me, but for everyone I touch. That is courageous because that gives me courage to move out. I'm not doing this for selfish reasons. I'm not doing this for ulterior motives. I'm pure in this. That gives me confidence, godly confidence, not self-confidence in myself.
Yes.
But it gives me godly confidence and courage. That's where that comes from.
That's different. And it's a different kind of courage. It's
Absolutely.
not, because it's not coming from you, exactly like you said. It's like a
Yeah.
power. It propels
Yes.
you forward. And you're not
Superpower.
doing it. Yeah, it is a
Yeah.
superpower. Oh, I appreciate that so much. Tina, I did not know when I woke up this morning I was going to be so inspired today. I'm serious.
Yay.
I
That's
really,
what God wants for all of us. He wants
I know.
all of us to understand our value and what we can contribute to make such a beautiful commerce world. And women especially, I think, have a superpower
Yeah.
because we are relationship first, much more so than men, right? We thrive on relationships and we understand the value of communicating and building trust. And not that men don't, but I think that we have unique gifts as women to connect and nurture relationships in a way that men don't.
So, what role does emotional intelligence play in building a healthy business?
Huge. Oh my gosh, huge. Discernment is something that you can pray. The Bible says that you can pray for discernment and wisdom, and she will show up, right? And that is something that we need to do every day. My work verse is Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. In other words, provision, customers, all those things will be added unto you in the marketplace. And emotional intelligence, discernment is important in knowing, understanding, listening first, listening well. What does your customer need? It's not, again, when you move out with a servant motivation, you're looking for what your customer needs. And you're going to be able to fill that need. You're not thinking about what you're going to say, or you're not thinking about how you're going to make a sale, because that changes what we say.
Mm-hmm.
What we believe and what we think comes out of our mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it dictates our actions. If we start with what we believe in,
Yeah.
then what comes out and how we move out in the world completely changes. Emotional intelligence is about caring for the other person, loving them well. That's emotional intelligence, because then we can hear what they need, and we can meet that need by being present with them, by paying attention.
So how do you work when you're working with entrepreneurs? How do you help them with emotional intelligence?
A lot of it comes from asking the questions that they probably have not asked themselves, redefining their why, their purpose, to help them understand, again, and reconnect what sparked you to do this in the first place. Well, is what you're doing now bringing you joy? Are you feeling like you're doing that? And most of the time the answer is no. On a hamster wheel, I feel like I'm being pulled in 100 different directions, and I'm trying to get to this place, but these tactics aren't working, and this and that. And it's creates this confusion, or this just, I'm going to say programmed. Like they're doing the same thing, like this robotic. I'm waking up, I'm doing the same thing over and over again, and it's not working. And emotional intelligence is just about slowing down and tuning out the noise of the world and reconnecting with what it is that you were created here to do. Because I believe that everyone is equipped with ideas when they connect with their creator and their purpose. You have the power source. You're connected to the power source with God.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need all the things that the internet tells you that you need.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that those things aren't bad. They're practical, and I definitely use them. Like I use AI
Mm-hmm.
for creating structural strategy plans and stuff like that. I'll put in all the information. I use it strategically. I don't just dump things in there. So those things are not bad, but they're tools. They're not how you run your business. There's a difference between creating a foundational system to operate within, and then gleaning the tools that are out there to help, I'm going to say, boost your productivity or make things easier on you, right? That's wisdom. That's discernment. But just following those things blindly, again, your ship is never going to reach the harbor.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be going here. You're going to be doing this, and every way the wind blows. Oh, this is popular now. Oh, this is, it's like,
Right.
And that's exhausting.
Right.
It's so exhausting.
Yeah. You just need to stay the course. Yeah. Well, that answers my next question. Once again, you've answered the next question. I love it. I love it. Well, it flows easily. You can tell that it just comes from within you. Yeah, there's just, yeah. So you did say that women have a superpower in business, and kind of let's reflect on that. Is that just because, you said it was relationship building? Is it because we're
Yes.
more relational than men? Okay. Can women lean into authentic leadership instead of leading like men, because it is different, right?
Yes.
Leadership is different. So how does a women's leadership, I guess, look? Is it more relational or?
So when your intention is to build a leader, servant leadership starts with making the people that you're leading or helping the people see the best possibilities that they can be. It's not about, you can lead people and create chaos out of order and give instructions. Okay, this team does this and this team. That's organizational leadership, and there's a place for that. True servant leadership is about lifting people up to help them become the best versions of themselves, to help them believe in the possibilities within them and not rely so much on validation from the outside world. Yeah. Your courage, your identity, and your possibilities, what you can do, are already cemented when God created you. He says He has a plan for us. He equips each one of us. Our role as women, and we tend to want to do this more so than men, is seek that, have that conversation with God, to do that deep work, to go on that journey of self-discovery. And that's part of being a good leader. Again, you're wanting the best interests of others, not yourself. When you move out thinking, okay, I make a widget. I want this widget to make life easier for those people because I see their struggle. When that's your motivation, you open the door to access God's power to make it happen. When you operate from a perspective of, I'm marking up my widget because it's in demand right now and everyone needs it and they can't get it, so I'm going to make bank on this. You might make some bank, but you're not building legacy and you're not building sustainability. You're not building loyal customers.
Makes sense. All right, I love the idea of business upcycling. So what does that mean? And maybe you have a story of one of your favorite business upcycling transformations you've ever led.
Okay, let me think. So I'm thinking about a client of mine. We'll call her Jennifer. She had a business selling beauty products, and she's working with a company that she represents. She's an independent contractor, but it's under a bigger name, right? And having a hard time differentiating herself. When we started to put her own personal, who she was behind that business, and it wasn't just, I'm representing them and I'm doing what all the other salespeople are doing. I'm doing what all the other clients, I'm going to these conferences and this is how you sell our product. This is what you do. When we created her unique mission, vision, values, she was able to show up for that business way differently than everyone else. So we saw her attraction, we saw her engagement on social media skyrocket. We saw calls coming into her business because she wasn't just the same robotic ad for this business coming through our feeds, right? She stood out because she did to be who she was called and meant to be. And she did it with authenticity. So you can take something that already exists, but when you put who you were created to be in that business the way it was meant to be, then that raises you up to another level and it creates a sustainability. So when I say upcycle, it's like you're creating sustainability out of something that is, okay, it has a lifespan. Say, I'm going to work for this company for so long and then I'm done. This becomes a lifestyle as something as part of who you are and what you do, and how you show up and contribute to the world.
That's great. I'm taking notes. That's really good. How can someone know when their business needs to be refreshed versus rebuilt?
Here's something that I use with a lot of businesses, and it's called, it's again, based on EOS because they're brilliant. Their system is brilliant, is the IDS. And I noticed this a long time ago. It's the IDS stands for identify, discuss, and solve. And most businesses do not track issues. They don't have a system for tracking their issues that come up in their business. Here's an example. I'm working with a client and they're a mid-sized business, probably about 60 to 70 employees. A lot of it is internet based. Okay. They're in this growth. They're chasing growth, right? They got to 10x this. And what I'm seeing is that they're growing, but they're not planning. So they're not tracking issues. What's happening is they're selling products, but when they're selling the products without knowing how long the product takes to develop, they're selling the product without testing and seeing. And then what happens then? Their staff becomes they're over capacity. They can't produce what they're selling. The higher ups looking at the money, ting, 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 ting. But what they're doing is they're creating this mess down below. And they're not paying attention to issues. They're not tracking them. Oh, well, this is late. Why is it late? It's late because of this. Those are very practical systems that we put in place that can alleviate the chaos. On a weekly basis, you list your issues. You have your team meeting and you say, okay, what issues have you run into this week? Well, so-and-so, I'm having a hard time with this. All right, write it down on the IDS list. And then you make a time to talk about that IDS with, again, identify what the issue is. And I'm talking, go down to the root of it.
Yeah.
Not just the surface level of where the mistake happened. Let's go back and find out why the mistake happened. Where did this process start? What led up to this mistake happening? Because if you address it here, it doesn't get solved long term. But if you go back here and you create a different system and you expand your capacity and find out what your needs are, then you can say, okay, moving forward, before we roll this product out, we need to solve this. Create a system for it. Make sure everyone knows what the system is. Make sure everyone's comfortable. Make sure it runs smoothly before we roll it out to the customer. And then guess what? You have consistent product delivery. And consistency, again, builds trust.
Yeah. Okay. So what is the most important message you would like for our viewers to take away from today's podcast?
I'm going to say, and this is a quote that I have up on my wall, you were created to impact a specific sphere of influence. And when you find that, when you work toward finding that, your potential and the potential to make the world a better place, make commerce better, is unlimited.
That's awesome. If someone is listening right now and feels stuck, exhausted, or lost, what is the first step you'd want them to take?
I'm going to say take a step back and away from the day-to-day. And I'm going to, you ask those questions. What is keeping me up at night? Where do I want to go? Why am I not there? What's stopping me? And it could be emotional. It could be fear. It could be, I don't deserve this success. It could be that too. Or it could be something physical. I don't have the funds, right? But taking the time to, again, ask the right questions and dig into what's really going on here. My brain works that way. My brain has always seen things and it's like, all right, what makes this work? And where is it not working? And why is it not working? It's about asking yourself the right questions and taking the time to intentionally look at it instead of just saying, oh, this sucks. I'm not able to do this. And it's that surface level operating. I want people to operate on a deeper level because this is meaningful.
Yeah.
How you show up in the marketplace is really meaningful and it can have a very lasting and I'm going to say impactful change of how we look at doing business.
Right. That's great. All right. So if anybody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way they can get in touch with you for more information?
So I would love for you to find me on Instagram and I think I shared those things, and Facebook and LinkedIn. And again, I invite you to ask me questions there. If you're struggling with something, pop a question in my DM or on my page or in LinkedIn or something, respond to something that I've done. My website is tinawolfe.com. And I've got some things on there. I do a blog and I address issues that business owners deal with on a regular basis. Frustrations, pain points, marketing, systems, you name it. You can find some things in there. And if there's something that you want me to write about, then I'm happy to do that too. There's a good one on there like customer retention, all kinds of things.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today. I think that your wisdom and your heart and your purpose and everything, it's going to resonate with so many people. I will definitely be reaching out. And
I thank you for having me on. I'm
yes, this was great.
stoked to be on.
Stay fully
That's-
soaked. All right. Thank you so much. Until next time. See
All
you
right.
later.
Have a great day. Thanks, everyone.
You
Bye bye.
too. Bye.